Well, one of the big stories of this week, if you caught it, was the case of what happened at Speaker's Corner, which was a pretty terrifying incident. An outspoken former Muslim woman who converted to Christianity was stabbed last Sunday by an unidentified man at the largest park in central London. That person still hasn't been caught. The 39-year-old woman, Hatun Tash, says she blames the police for what happened to her at Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. She claims that officers are too fearful to take action against a Muslim whom she suspects was behind the attack. GB News reporter and presenter Inaya Folarin Iman spoke with Hatun Tash following the attack last Sunday.
I felt like someone was grabbing me from the back. My hand was bleeding. And then apparently in that stage my face was bleeding as well. Freedom of speech is already in danger if individual is being offended because I said Jesus is the Son of God. Freedom of speech is already in danger because you are being blocked on social media because you said I said something about my faith people don't like. At Speaker's Corner, I don't think anyone should even be slapped or pushed around because it is heart of freedom of speech. Like, it's not I am coming to your home and putting the Quran on your face. I am in a place under the law where I do the things I'm allowed to do.
So Inaya Folarin Iman joins us now. So Inaya, you were the first journalist to speak to the victim. What did you make of it?
I mean, it is really remarkable, the situation. I mean, a week down the line, they've not apprehended, the police haven't apprehended the person that perpetrated the attack, and there was 40 witnesses in the middle of central London in broad daylight, and with all of those factors involved, they're claiming that we don't know the motive and we don't know who the person is. And actually, having spoken to Hatun and many witnesses there's a lot of discussion about how it has been a build-up over quite a long time. Speaker's Corner has been a place of increasing intimidation. She has had threats made against her in the past. She has been shoved and pushed, and it seemed like this is almost a kind of climax of something that has been building up. And I mean, Speaker's Corner is a place where for years it's been internationally renowned for free speech and expression, and if this is not the place where you can't actually express even incredibly controversial views, a place actually which exists to do that, then it's incredibly worrying for the state of free speech in this country.
Now, she's guilty, isn't she, of apostasy. This is what the extremists would say, you know, that those that turn against the religion are, you know, become targets effectively to the extremist minority groups. But what you're saying, Anaya, actually is this incident, and I've heard this as well, this incident has not come out of the blue. There's been a gradual trend for the shouting down of people, and they are saying things, and they are sometimes dressed in ways that could be seen to be provocative to some Muslims. I mean, that's fair to say, isn't it? Yeah,
and I mean, we have to emphasise, obviously, the police say that they haven't completely agreed on what the motive is, but having spoken to Hatun and the witness, they are very certain about what they think the actual reason for it is. But it is worrying. I mean, this is in the backdrop of echoes of some of the things that we saw in Batley Grammar School, and a situation when it comes to certain subjects, when it comes to certain issues, that we are essentially silent or not fully comfortable with actually confronting the fact that people expressing entirely legitimate criticism, entirely legitimate views, are living in fear or are threatened for doing so, and that's totally unacceptable in a liberal, open, democratic society.
And,
so, what?
Sorry,
Paul.
I was just going to say I mean, this was a Christian preacher. My concern is if this was a preacher of another religion, I think there would have been far more focus on it. I think newswise, it would have been across the media. But it's almost like with Christianity, it's fair game. You know, if you want to go out and preach Christianity, and you know, we see stories of people in town centres reading the Bible and being hauled away by the police. And I think there is a discrepancy between how we treat Christian preachers and treat others. And I know, you know, people say she was dressed provocatively because she had the Charlie Hebdo T-shirt on, but, you know, it's not the argument that people would use in other scenarios. You know, when people, for example, if a woman is assaulted and someone says, well, you know, she was wearing a short skirt or something, people wouldn't dream of saying, oh, well, you brought it on yourself kind of thing, you were dressed provocatively. And I don't see why we should use that argument in this scenario either.
Totally, and I think it's really sad that we often take the most conservative interpretation interpretation of Islam in order to paint that as the entirety of what Islam is. Actually, even in this investigation, I spoke to many Muslims, such as a gentleman called Waziq from an organisation called Muslims Against Anti-Semitism, and he is strong to condemn what has happened, and says actually Muslims in this country, like every other group of people, should support liberal democratic values and be tolerant in different ideas, and shouldn't react in these strong ways when people might offend their sensibilities, even if it's understandable that those things are offensive. And we have other individuals that have spoken out, such as Majid Nawaz and many other people. And so actually there are many Muslim individuals in this country, just like any group, that have a whole wide range of perspectives, that are critical, that are supportive. And actually when we take the most conservative interpretation, I think we often empower those individuals that actually want to silence legitimate and fair criticism in a democratic society.
What happens today at Speaker's Corner? Do you know?
Well, there has been some reports that some groups that usually exploit situations like this in order to push forward political extremism are actually trying to organise at that particular place. And I think that is worrying when we're not quick to condemn these actions, we're not quick to defend free speech and to stand up, then we often leave a vacuum in place for individuals that have perhaps more worrying political motivations and want to exploit those situations. So I really hope that the police are going to be much more responsive and to make sure that they have a presence there to make sure that no violence or intimidation ends up in Speaker's Corners today. I
rather suspect they'll be there. And I thank you very much indeed for that report, and well done you for being the first journalist to go there and cover this issue. And as Paul said, these are the kind of stories that so much of mainstream media doesn't even want to talk about.